to say, I am going to surrender to the truth. I'm going to surrender to that which I know is truly me. No longer am I going to buy into this story. I'm greater than that. And so oftentimes we become so comfortable and complacent, that comfort of, even in suffering, the fear of the unknown is so great that we'd rather suffer than move into that which is ours to do, into that place that brings us joy. Because it's the fear of the unknown. It's the fear of the unknown. Just like in the parable. The fear of not knowing what's next. You know, this, I was sharing earlier with the first service about an experience I had in leadership where I experienced this, taking apart those things which did not serve me. Because as you know, when you go through a spiritual experience, 4 or 5 years of becoming a licensed Unity teacher, and during leadership school, in the last part of my going back to the village, I was experiencing a lot of changes in life. I had a dark night of the soul. I was releasing a lot during classwork, crying, releasing, doing unusually bizarre things, for me, because I had bought into this. I had bought into this sense consciousness that says I am this and I am that, and I had established all these personas. And then in studying the truth of who I really am, it broke those down. And I suddenly realized that's not who I am. I'm something much greater than that. And so after crying and releasing, I told a story of how when I got home, I was served with divorce papers, which should have been used to. That was my third one, but you never get used to that. Anyways, at our graduation, I was chosen to speak for the class, and I was telling them about some of my dark night of the soul, and how one morning I woke up and I felt this sensation in my chest. And it was a very real sensation. I've never felt it before. And it was just moving around, and it felt so free and light. And I had such a delightful feeling of ecstasy from it. And what I told him, I said, it was my heart. I found out that I had a heart. Well, who was it, the Tin Man, or was it the Straw Man?
Lion.
The lion?
Tin.
Yeah, that was me. I found out that I had a heart. And it was such a sacred moment for me that I made a conviction I'd never let go of that. Never let go of that. Because that was the balancing agent to who I was, that intellect, that Adam and Eve that comes out in each one of us that says, I am a whole person. I am a whole being. And a lot of times what happens when we go through life, we see this reflected, like in relationships with your spouse, with your children, with your friends. We see that within us that we don't like, that we judge. We see that reflected in relationships. And we do that last part where we project, that last part of the parable that says the devil made me do it. Or you're the reason that I'm unhappy. If only you could do something different, then I would be happier. Why? Because we see that part of what we are. We see it very clearly in who they are. Because that's who we are. And so we project that last part. We project out. And we outsource our power. And every time we do that, we reinforce the shadow that says, I have no control over my life. I have absolutely no part of this. Or you hear people say, the universe is against me. What if you looked at each thing that happened to you, no matter how painful it is, as a friendly messenger? What if you knew that was something that was trying to tell you, is trying to tell you, that's not you. That's not who you are. You're something much greater than that. What if we looked at everything as sacred and holy? What would we get back? If thoughts and mind produced after the time, what would we get back? We would be inviting that gift that's greater than anything we could imagine. We would move through those times of pain and avoid the suffering. What if we knew that each moment of the day, there is a reason for every encounter. There is a message there. Do you think you would have a boring life? Do you think anything would be mundane? Yes. If you knew the millions and millions of intricate processes that went into growing a rose, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about continuous dynamics of life growing you, constantly beckoning you, saying, here I am, grow with me. The nature of life is to bring us to that awareness that says, I am the divine. I am the one presence and that one power. I will not be denied. I am that one presence. Say that to yourself. I am that one presence and one power. So the more we surrender to that, and the more we bring that to the light, the easier it is to face those things, those shadows that you look at something and say, I didn't do that. And the reason that we say that is because we judge them. This is right and this is wrong. I'm less than because I did this. When the fact is that you're not your experiences. You're something much greater than your experiences. And it's in the judgment that perpetuates the behavior that brings along suffering to yourself and to your fellow human being. It's in the judgment that's saying this is good and this is bad. Unity takes away the guilt and shame. How? With knowledge, with awareness. Awareness of who you really are. Jesus said, you will know the truth and it will set you free. That's what we're talking about here. Becoming aware, mindfully aware of everything that you do, all the thoughts that you let in. When I first started this process, I didn't realize how crazy these thoughts were that I was letting in. I thought, because I thought, well, how many times have I thought that? Because it's like being on autopilot. I shared with the first service about how, neuroscience has found out that they're in consciousness, that it isn't a continuous line. There's gaps between consciousness. There's a balance, just like yin-yang and everything else that nature reflects back to us. There's a balance of on-off, on-off. So in between those points of consciousness, which the off is going so quickly that you're not consciously aware of it, that is the period of time in that void, in that silence, that you can redirect your belief system. You can redirect that path that you're on that says, I'm not good enough. Or that continual tape that keeps running in your mind that says I'm never going to have enough, or the thing that says I have to do this, this, and this to be loved by people. Because who I am isn't good enough. And that's the reason that those gaps are there. That's the reason that we go to sleep at night. So that we can shut down that craziness and allow the healing. It's not because our bodies need rest. It's because they need a break from the intellect. that crazy mind that says, I'm not good enough. The fear of abandonment, the fear of not being loved. The competitiveness that comes from seeing each other as being separate. The fact is that you don't have to do anything to earn who you are, what you are, the gift of who you are. It's free, and it's everywhere you look. As a matter of fact, when you go out and you try to earn it, you're diverting the delivery of the gift. You're dishonoring what it is. If I give you a gift and you try to pay for it, you would dishonor the giver. And you might not get another gift. You know, that's basically a sale, right? And so the last point I want to conclude with is the practice of self-love. The practice of self-love is so important. Being easy with yourself. When you see these things that are blocking your joy, instead of judging yourself, there's this habit that we can get into where we're judging the judging. So we add these layers on where, oh, well, I should have done this or I should have done that. And that often goes on in New Thought. When you first start out, you feel guilty for not having done it what you think is the correct way. So what I have to say to that is just be gentle with yourself. Be very loving. You know, nature teaches us to forgive quickly and embrace who we are and what we are. And that takes away the sting of just living and just being yourself. And so the practice of self-love involves so many things, and one of them is just what we talked about right here today. Removing those blocks from your joy. And remembering who you are. Being gentle with yourself allows you to do that with others. Emerson said that who you are speaks so loudly I can't hear what you're saying. And that's because there really is only one of us. There's only one of us. That one presence and that one power. That gift. So I invite you all just to close your eyes for a minute, and we'll conclude with this. Just imagine yourself in the presence of the omnipotent power of love right now. That you are that Michelangelo gift, that perfect gift that needs nothing added. You're in the presence of pure love. How can joy be anything but yours? How can anything but gratitude be who you are? I gently and graciously surrender all that is unlike my gift, all that is unlike me. With a grateful heart, I accept. I forgive and I let go of everything that I believed before made me less than. I release that to the omnipotent power of love, which will not be denied. I am love. I am love. I lift up and embrace all that I am to the light. And as the light encompasses and unites with the darkness upon its rays, so it is with me. I become one with all that I am, and I gently embrace it. With a grateful heart, I say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Namaste.
Good lesson, huh?
Yeah.
Good lessons come from good teachers.